any more ideas that that the Fed might actually raise rates sooner rather than later, or pause and keep them, pause through September. Any clues from the FOMC, might be a little, the message might be a little convoluted, but I know the market has been waiting for this. And, we've seen this move in the dollar index. And let me go over to the dollar index really quick. So we've seen this move out of the descending wedge in the dollar index. And, frankly, I was expecting this move today. I wasn't expecting this move this early on. But what's really interesting where we're at currently is this today's FOMC meeting minutes, I think, will make or break the dollar. Now, I know, you might sit here and go, well, we're so, we've moved so much already, and we've had the euro move down from, we were at 114 and change earlier this week. We're at 111, and by the way, that's a pretty aggressive drop. I mean, if you look at the euro dollar, okay, you look at the euro dollar. I mean, we were at 114.50 basically, and we've lost 350 pips. That's a pretty big move, almost 400 pips off the highs just this week. Okay, and when I say this will make or break the dollar, it's simply because if you look at the dollar index, and let's go over to the daily chart. I guess the daily chart is going to be the best view here. Let's zoom in. Some. Whoops, I always go the wrong way. Okay. So here we are in the dollar index, right? Here's the broken trend line. You see it? Do you see what's capping us right now? Let's get rid of the fib. Well, I'll leave the fib in there. And let me draw a little bit. So we broke down right here, retested, broke down, hit support, rallied out of the descending wedge. We're testing resistance right now. Today, we're doing this, or we're doing this. Pretty simple. Very, very simple analysis, but very clear, very concise. Yesterday, I got out of all my dollar longs. Okay, I was dollar longs and short. To put it this way, I was in the dollar not across the board. I shorted the Aussie. I shorted the Kiwi. By the way, I shorted the Aussie yesterday. I made like 30 pips. I shorted the Kiwi, wherever 75 cents or whatever. Closed that out yesterday. I was long the dollar Canadian at like 120.30. Okay, closed that out yesterday. I was short the dollar. I was short the dollar yen, so I did have some dollar shorts out there too. I closed that out for, I think I lost like 32 pips or something like that. Basically, my Aussie and my yen kind of flatted each other out yesterday, and then I was short the Aussie yen, which I ended up making like 3 pips or something. So what I did yesterday, the trading I did yesterday was basically a wash, because I was short the dollar yen, short the Aussie yen, and short the Aussie dollar, which all three of them, I think, really just like flatted each other out, the three of those. But I made really good money in the dollar Canadian, really good money shorting the Kiwi, and I closed out all of my dollar trades yesterday, all of them. Okay. I'm looking at the dollar right now, and I know it's pivotal, and I know today is either going to make it or break it. So I'm looking for clues on what to do today. The dollar is either going to rally from here or it's going to sell off. I've already been formulating a plan to what I'm going to do Should the dollar rally or should the dollar sell off? So let me see if I can quiz you guys a little bit. I want to see how prepared you all are. And I'm going to go to the Q&A panel, right? Malcolm says, "Hey Blake, you're also getting into the crucial point statement." Crucial point statement. So let me ask you this, and I'm going to blow my nose when I ask you this, after I ask you this, so I give you a moment to answer. If the dollar strengthens, what do you think I'm going to play? And if the dollar weakens, what do you think I'm going to play? I've already been formulating a plan. I'm wondering if you guys have as well. Think about that for a second. If the dollar strengthens, what do you think I'm going to play? How do you think I'm going to play it? If the dollar weakens, how do you think I'm going to play it? Stand by, or I'm going to blow my nose. You guys go ahead and see if you formulate some answers. Okay, I'm still here. Okay. So you guys are already thinking about it. I want you to think about this because listen, I don't know if the dollar is going to go up today. I don't know if the dollar is going to go down. I had the same questions yesterday as I do today, and I figured today we're going to have some sort of resolution on what happens, right? Today we are going to hopefully after the minutes today, I will have good indication of what the dollar is going to do because the dollar is going to start squeezing balls off. When I say squeezing balls off, that means it's going to squeeze higher because a lot of people are short the dollar right now, and they're all standing like deer looking at headlights right now. You know, they're in the middle of the road. Here comes this big Mack truck. The dollar's running them over. They're looking at all they see are the headlights. Eyes are wide open, and the dollar's storming past them, right? Or the dollar's going to reverse and resume some of that the downtrend that we've seen over the last few weeks, because the dollar's come fast and furious. You cannot you cannot not you cannot argue that point. The euro coming down from 114.50 to 110.50 in 3 days is fast, very fast. And we don't know if it's a resumption of trend, or we don't know if it's just a quick pullback in a trend that's been trying to reverse itself. But we should find out a little bit more today. So, in my opinion, and a lot of you guys have answered this correctly, or I I don't know what I'm not here to judge what's correct and what's not correct. I'm gonna tell you how I'm gonna play it, but doesn't mean what I do is right. Everybody understands that, right? And I hope you all understand that I never view it's my way or the highway. I'm just telling you how I'm gonna play it, and I'm not always right. Look, I shorted the dollar yen yesterday. I lost 30 some pips, like 32 pips. You know, I also shorted the Aussie dollar. I made like 30 some pips. I'll make some and I'll lose some, and I have losing trades too. So it's not my way or the highway, or my way is the right way. But I'll tell you how I'm going to play it. If the dollar weakens today, so we have indication from the FOMC minutes that suggests that a rate hike is not coming for sure. We can write June off. Like June's off the table. And hell, we'll be lucky if we raise rates in September. So in other words, the Fed seems relatively dovish, and the dollar starts to resume its downtrend. I'm buying the euro dollar. I'm also going to be buying the cable. So if there's dollar weakness, I'm going to be buying the euro, buying the pound. Okay. If we have dollar strength, like we go, oh my God, the dollar is going to strengthen, I'm probably going to short the Kiwi. I'll probably short the Aussie, and I'll probably get long the dollar Canadian. Okay? So that's how I'm going to play dollar strength or dollar weakness today. If you ask me why, well, for a couple reasons. First of all, I'll play the pound to the long side because I think the cables come back after, reaching 158, and I think the pound's actually pretty bullish. The pound's bullish on the crosses. I came really close to actually buying the pound Aussie and pound Canadian today. I didn't, but I think the pound looks really bullish. It's just pulled back, but the cable looks pretty strong. The euro, I'm in the belief that if Greece leaves the eurozone, the euro will actually strengthen. Now it may come down first, but I believe it'll actually overall strengthen. I'm one of those people that believe if you take the weakest currency out of the union or weakest country out of the union, you'll have a stronger currency. But I've had that belief for years. Anybody who's been following these webinars since Greece came into the limelight knows that that's my take on the euro. I think the euro will actually strengthen over time, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's the reason why I'd buy the euro dollar right at this moment. It's just I think the euro reaction or the dollar index reaction from this level is key. I'd rather just play the cable. But the euro I might play long too. If I do play long, it'll be small, but I may play it. Now, if the dollar strengthens though, I still think you could short the euro dollar. I wouldn't necessarily want to short the pound. But I do want to play the dollar Canadian to the long side because I think crude oil is going to weaken again. I do want to play the Kiwi to the short side because I believe that the RBNZ is going to start cutting rates. And I believe below 73 cents is going to open up a swath of sellers. And the Aussie dollar is in a megaphone pattern, and I believe it's going to continue to come down. So that's how I want to play the dollar. I don't know I don't know what I want to do with the dollar yen. I'm not 100% convinced that we've gotten outside of our range. We've gotten out of a tight range that we've been in, but I'm not 100% convinced that it's really out of its range. And listen, if the market feels that the Fed is going to actually tighten sooner rather than later, and the market actually feels that June is still a viable possibility that we raise rates. Remember, last FOMC meeting minutes suggested, and the FOMC, because of the language, suggested that they wanted to leave June as a possibility. I still have not given up on the idea that the Fed could raise in June. Why? Because they still want to have tools available, especially monetary tools available to them should a recession hit. I think they have a very small opportunity to raise rates, and I think that this will be their opportunity to take it. So I think they still can raise in June. But if the minutes suggest that that's still a possibility, even this close to the June meeting, when we're only a few weeks out, I think the dollar will rally, but I don't know if the dollar yen will rally because I don't know how stocks are going to take that, a rate hike, should we get it. All right. Should we get it, or, especially if we get it. So anyway, that's how I plan on playing the dollar. Again, it's not my way or the highway. It's not way. It's not. I'm correct. I'm right. You're wrong. I'm just letting you know how I'm going to play it. I pride myself with the fact that I tell you guys what I'm going to do before I do it. I mean, there obviously there's trades that develop when you and I are not talking on a webinar. When I'm in a chat room or if it's in the evening, I'm taking my son to baseball practice or soccer practice, and I'm like, ooh, wow, look at that. And then, something develops that I didn't previously talk about. But I pride the fact that I try to tell you guys what I'm going to do before I do it, because that's my plan. What I hope you guys get out of these webinars is I plan my trades and I trade my plan, right or wrong. Because as a trader, that's all we can do is we plan our trades, trade our plan, manage risk, and you're going to be right sometimes, you're going to be wrong sometimes. But knowing what I'm going to do 3 hours from now or 5 hours from now is so important, because the last thing I'm going to want to do is fly by the seat of my pants when the FOMC meeting minutes come out and not know what the hell I'm going to do and how I'm going to react. All right. Wow. I just realized that it's almost break time. Actually, it is break time. When I come back, we will start our morning analysis. We'll go through all the majors. Happy hump day, everybody. Hope you guys are having a great Wednesday. I know it's slow. I'm pretty happy to be out of all my dollar exposure right now, though. It feels good. All right. I'll be back in a few minutes. Don't go anywhere. Thank you all for being here.